Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to my channel. This is Nima, and today we're gonna be working with this card. This is more like a haunted village, and we're gonna be using the Distress mica spray. And I have three colors. I have Omnious Twilight. It's like a purple. Phantom Mist and Specimen. It's more like a green, and I'm mixing them all on the background for the trees. I'm using the Phantom Mist and the Specimen, and on the front of the card I'm using the Specimen and that beautiful purple. And I already have the front of the card. I'm working in a card a little smaller than that one, and it's gonna be A2, but the front of the card, the front panel, is gonna be slightly smaller. And I already used the mica spray, Phantom and Specimen for the background. I'm gonna cut the trees with this die cut. This is from Momenta. And then for the houses, this time I'm using this set. This is from last year Christmas C6 Tim Holtz, and Christmas cottons, or it's like a Christmas village. And I'm gonna use pretty much the houses, the two houses, and the trees. And that fence that I use in there, that's from another die set. So I have that little fence. In this card I used a larger house because the front of the car is larger. But in this card I'm gonna use this circle that it is about 2.5 inches. And this is gonna be the house that I'm gonna put in here. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna cut this kind of right there, and then in that way this is gonna be only one piece, right? So what I'm gonna do is when I'm positioning my plate, I'm just gonna bring it just right there. In that way all this part is gonna be cut, but the house is gonna be attached, and it's gonna stay like only one piece. So this is the way that my die cut. Remember I told you that I was gonna I actually positioned the plate right on that border, so everything was cut except for this portion in here. Let's remove the die in here, and if there is any portion in here that it is not completely cut, then we can use an X-Acto knife to cut that part. Right. So the house stays attached to the die. I mean to the front of the car. Now something else that I'm gonna do in here is that I'm gonna add a little more of the mica stain. I have this portion already set in here, but I want to put a little more purple just to make it a more intense. I do like the amount of green that it has, but in some areas it has some portions that they are the purple didn't cover enough. And I have two options. I can spray the whole thing again, or I can spray a little bit and then dabble in there to cover those areas where I have those white spots. Probably it's a little difficult to see it, but what I've been doing in here is that I've been creating what is gonna be the background of the house. And for that, I use this circle and use a template to add a very, very light shadow using Lost Shadow. And then on top, I went with, first with antique linen. And now I'm going over the borders using mustard seed. I already have the background, the trees, the cutout, and that's gonna be positioned on top. And then the house, I'm gonna wait a little bit until all these pieces are dry. And then we're gonna put everything together. Okay, so it's time to put all these pieces together. I added the frame, and in between these two pieces is the moon, and I already mounted, I glued the trees, and I also stamped few bats around. And this part in here is very important, so we need to make sure that we center this very well. So I'm gonna set this piece the way it's supposed to go, and that's exactly how I want it. But if you think it needs to be moved to the left or to the right, this is the time. The The yellow circle is larger than the space in there, so we have a little bit of room to move it around. But I think that's a good spot in there. So I'm gonna glue it in place. And then I have another piece that I'm gonna put in between just to give it a little bit of dimension. And I already cut that piece, and I'm using this foam. It's like a very thin packaging material that you can find this in Walmart and all these stores where you look for your packaging material. This particular one is for the ones that you buy to pack the dishes, and it's very thin. It's thinner than many of the foam. And again, I cut the space larger. And what I like to do is that I like to glue this one to my piece, and that way I know for sure that it's gonna be in the right position. And before I glue that, I cover the borders in black, so in that way when you see the card and you look at the card sideways, you don't see the white mat in there. So let me glue this part in here. And it glues really well. Very easy to glue and it takes all kind of glues, any glue. In fact, it glues really fast. It's also the glue that I'm using. I'm using art glitter. And I trim this a little smaller, but not too small. I want to make sure that it, the whole piece has support. And at the same time that I cut that one, I trim a little piece for the back of the house. And I also did the same thing of covering the borders in black, and that way you don't see that. So the house will be also raised a little bit, and it will be glued to the back. So that's gonna be the next thing that I'm gonna do in here. I'm just adding a little bit of glue, especially around the opening. Trying to center this to the best of my abilities. I'm gonna let it dry for a few seconds. Okay, so let's finish this card. All this is dry. I have my sentiment ready. I just need to put the trees and the houses on the bottom. To the houses, I added a piece of cardstock, and some of the windows are painted in silver. All the houses, they have that same treatment. And let me just agree on the arrangements that I'm gonna have in here. I'm thinking I'm gonna put this big tree in there, and then I have one tree in here, I can add the fence, and then the other house will be at the end. I'm adding the other tree. Thought about not putting this tree in there, but then it looks like too like symmetric, 2 and 2. And this tree is another one that I'm gonna trim a little bit on the bottom. Went a little too much with the glue. That glue dries clear. This helps a little bit. And then the fence. Little. Okay. And I have the sentiment ready. And this one will go kind of that way in there. And I added a piece of cardstock, but now that I put it in there, I'm thinking I might erase it a little bit more. But I don't want to put foam or anything that it looks too much. I just want to add a little bit of dimension without overdoing it. Yeah. Okay, let's bring this. And this will be added to my card. The card will not show. And with this, we finished that card. So we have the 2 cards in here. It's the same Christmas village. Well, right now it's a Halloween village. Happy Halloween.